Afternoon. Last January, human service workers across Massachusetts mourned the passing of Jose Roldan and Stephanie Moulton, who lost their lives doing what they loved, caring for people in need. While instances of violence such as these are very rare, they didn't happen without context. NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, recently issued a report finding that Massachusetts has cut mental health funding by more than $55 million since 2009. We, as workers in the field, know that people with disabilities can live safely in the community with adequate funding. But with cuts this drastic, individuals are left without the services that they need to get by. While Stephanie and Jose were not members of our union, over 13,000 women and men who do the same work as them are, and they stand strong as a voice for all human service workers. Just 2 weeks prior to these tragic deaths, Local 509 and Representative Jim O'Day filed House Bill 1429, a bill to create a mental health oversight commission. Our members were becoming more and more concerned about safety, quality, and accountability in the Commonwealth's mental health programs, like the one Stephanie Moulton worked in, and this bill will ensure that these programs are looked at carefully. Passing this bill will be a significant step forward for not only workers in the field, but also the individuals who receive services and their families. However, we know that to bring about real change, it takes more than just putting legislation forward. In the years since Stephanie's passing, we've partnered with a number of passionate allies to bring attention to these important services and what needs to be done to make them stronger. Local 509 members and a number of these allies were part of a state commission safety task force that provided 17 necessary recommendations to improve safety in mental health programs. Last year, OSHA cited, fined, and demanded safety corrections from North Suffolk Mental Health, Stephanie's employer. We commend OSHA for this unprecedented stand for worker safety in the human service industry. While North Suffolk has spent 15 months opposing and maneuvering to exclude workers from the discussions, I am proud to say that just last week, a judge granted SEIU Local 509 the right to be a party in the OSHA court settlement. We are grateful for this opportunity to continue our fight for all human service workers. During these past 15 months, we have been particularly proud to stand alongside of one of the most effective and determined advocates for worker safety, Stephanie Moulton's mother, Kim Flynn. Despite an unthinkable tragedy, she and her family have been champions. We have stood side by side with Kim at countless media interviews, statewide candlelight vigils, hearings before the state legislature, rallies for worker safety, and so much more. I cannot count the number of times Kim has stood up to fight so that no other mother ever has to get the phone call that she received. We are so very proud to stand with the Moulton family to demand comprehensive reforms and improve funding in our mental health systems. It's my honor to present to you Kim Flynn.
Everybody's got to bear with me here. It's been a rough week. On January 20, 2011, Stephanie Moulton went to her job. She was a social worker and acting manager of a residential home in Revere that was run by North Shore Suffolk. Her job was to help clients make a transition to the community. At 10:36 a.m., she was attacked and murdered, allegedly by a client she was there to help. When I think back on that day, I remember thinking to myself as I was being driven to the police station was the argument that I had had with her the night before about a tire on her car that kept going flat. I told her I would buy her tires for her birthday if she didn't get it fixed because it was icy, and at the time that was my concern. What I thought, when I arrived at the police station, no parent could ever be prepared for the words that came out of the state trooper's mouth. He looked right at me and told me, "Your daughter was murdered on her job, allegedly by a patient. She was taken out of there, she was left in a church, and that they had got the suspect." My first reaction was just total, I couldn't comprehend what they said. As a parent, you raise your children and try to keep them safe. Always be there when they need you. But in this case, I couldn't be there for her. I couldn't be there to help her, and that is why it is so important to me and my family to make sure that Stephanie's sacrifice she made with her life is not in vain. I made a promise to her the day I put her to rest that no other parent would ever have to face this emptiness we feel every day, the millions of unanswered questions and anger and frustration you feel. That is why me and my family are out here fighting as hard as we are, along with SEIU, Senator Berry, Mascosh, and many others, to make sure that this never happens again, to make sure that my daughter did not die in vain. My family and myself have been so blessed with the outpouring of support from so many people. The public, the news, Toby Fisher, SEIU, Mascosh. It's just unbelievable. I call these people and I say to them, listen, I have an idea. This is what I want to do. This is what I need to do to make sure that Stephanie is remembered, and they are right by my side every step of the way, no matter what it takes. I'm standing here today because it's just so important that we make sure we make these changes to make sure that when these girls go to work, they're safe. Because if I ever turned on the news and ever saw that this happened to somebody else, I really don't think that I would be able to go on. People ask me all the time, how can I get up every day and do this and fight for this? And I do this because my daughter Stephanie was a beautiful 25-year-old girl who had a whole life ahead of her. She chose to get in this field. She knew the consequences. She knew what she had to do every day. And I will tell you, I will be honest, we are very angry. We're very frustrated. But we are going to be here until the very end to fight for Stephanie, because Stephanie Moulton is not going to die in vain. And we're going to make sure that no other mother ever has to deal with what I have to deal with. I tell you, it's the hardest thing to have to wake up every day. You lose half yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore. My daughter was my best friend. She was a great sister. She was a wonderful fiancée. She was a great cousin. She put everybody in front of herself. And I will be here every step of the way with my family fighting until the day that Stephanie's law becomes a law. Right now it's in the process where it's really moving along. Senator Berry has been awesome support system. He's been right there beside me. He will be retiring this year, which is going to be very sad, but I know that before he goes, he will make sure that this is taken care of. So I want to thank you for all your support and your help, and hope to God that next year none of us have to stand here and do this again. Thank you.